Welcome to Life Planning 101, brought to you by Smart Money Group and Kennedy Financial Services in Eastland, Texas. Tune in every week as we share important information to help you and your family live life on purpose. Insurance, investments, legacy and tax planning, and much more. All covered now on Life Planning 101.
Welcome to Life Planning 101. My name is Angela Robinson with Smart Money Group and Kennedy Financial Services out of the thriving metropolis of Eastland, Texas. And I'm about to be able to say the thriving metropolises of Eastland, Texas and Three Forks, Montana, where, yes, Kennedy Financial Services is entering a new chapter and opening its office, grand opening to be on 9/11. Yes. But that's not what we're here to talk about today. We're here to talk about you and helping you live life on purpose. And I want to ask you a question. Where are you getting advice? So I started reading. It's really good. If you actually have time to find it on X, there's like hashtag bad advice. I mean, you would talk about rolling over. It's hilarious on the advice that some people have gotten and actually taken. For example, a young woman asks her friend who is really skinny. She's like, "How do you stay that thin? How do you do that?" She says, "Well, I guess just eat everything that I do." 2 weeks later, she says, "How is it going?" And she says, "Not well. I've gained 20 pounds." Yeah, bad advice. Or love this. Another friend was seeking advice on how to turn a guy down that had asked her out over for lunch over a text, and her friend says, "Just tell him that you don't like food." Or how about this one? Blinker went out in this girl's car when she was in high school, and so her buddies, quote unquote, got her convinced that she just needed some blinker fluid. Or another buddy tells her to set her makeup in place, she should just use hairspray. She said her face itched for a week. Oh my goodness, it's horrible. It's horrible. And then we all have those friends that, you go to a new place to eat, they've eaten there, you haven't, they get you to eat the weirdest things possible on the menu. And the guy is asking, "So what is wasabi?" And he says, "Well, it's just like butter." I don't think I have to tell you the rest of the story on that one. Or this other buddy's, telling this guy how to land this job interview, and he says, "Just make sure you tell a long, vulgar story at the end." He actually did it. I can't believe this. Or and get this, it doesn't even have to be a buddy. Here's a scout leader on a Boy Scout camp says you're going to wipe with leaves. Well, he happens to use poison ivy. That's not good at all. Or mom. Okay, I saved the best for last here. Mom tells her son he needs to use deodorant on his knee pits as well. He actually does it, right? Oh, priceless. But you have to think about, the advice that you've received over the years, where you've got it, where you've sought it, what you've done with it. I hope some of it's a little wiser than this. I actually was thinking back to some of the things that I've done based on advice. And yes, especially in those younger years when you're a teenager, I think we're just a little bit more gullible. I don't know. I'm still gullible with my kids. They get me all the time. But I got inspired by this because I was actually doing I like to start my day with a little Jesus. And I was recently listening to this sermon that was focused on where we get our advice. And of course, it was all about your faith and your relationship with God and the choices that you make. But it was a reflection on the voices that we actually listen to every day and how we let those voices impact us and impact the decisions we make. And be careful is the bottom line. And I got to thinking about that. Obviously, it was a really great reflection from my relationship with the Lord. But I got to also thinking about that in the other aspects of life. Now, this applies with everything. Be careful. What voices are you listening to that are impacting you in the decisions that you make? Your relationships with the Lord are one thing, but what about your relationships with your spouse and your family? Who are you listening to? Who are you taking advice from? Raising your children. That's a big one. I keep thinking, please, God, just don't let me screw it up. I turn it over in his hands. I guess I'm just so scared to screw it up. Business decisions. and financial decisions. I mean, there's so much that we do with people, helping them with family support issues, being in that sandwich generation, to how to gift charitably, maximize those charitable gifts, how to pass on their estate, their legacy. Sometimes it's a business, sometimes it's a ranch, so it's even more involved, making those business decisions. Then you've got all the other things that we just have to deal with, and that's taxes, investments, insurance, asset protection, these have tos when you're successful and you have success issues. And let's face it, if you really look out there, there's a lot of advice on every single topic. Every single topic. I mean, I think you could Google something, and we've talked about this on shows in the past. You could Google something and you could get two completely different opposite answers on the homepage. So which one are you supposed to take? Do you even know? And you talk about AI and the force that AI is going to have in our industry and in our world, and how it's going to change everything on its face. And I'd say we got a minute to go, because I yet to see AI where it's completely accurate, and the same with Google. And part of it is it's not that it might not be accurate, but it's partly because sometimes you Google the wrong thing. You think you're Googling the right thing, but you're Googling the wrong thing. And then there is your friends and family, and we all remember Home Improvement and the neighbor across the fence, right? And I bet that those people can actually challenge Google with the amount they are willing to give you in the way of advice. So you look at all this and it leaves a question. It's like, how do you know if you're getting good advice? People say, well, I don't listen to any of that. I just go to my trusted professional. Well, do you? So who's your trusted professional? Is that an accountant? Is it a banker? Is that an advisor? Is that an insurance agent? Who is it? And a lot of times we pick the one that we think we need to go to. And, I'll back up and tell you a story that this is exactly the reason that my dad entered into this business of helping people live life on purpose back in 1989, because he did start in banking. And then he did go into insurance. And then he did work with estate planning. And then he ended up working with investments. And what he noticed was everybody was going to each of their professionals where they think they needed them, but no one was pulling it all together. And so what ended up happening is successful people, would have holes in, the size of Texas, no pun intended, in their plans, and overlap in their plans on the flip side of things. And then sometimes things weren't even addressed because people didn't even know what they needed to know, to address it. So you think about your trusted professionals, they're not going to steer you wrong. But what if they don't know what they don't know? I don't think they would never intentionally steer you wrong, or most of them, if they are trusted, but they simply don't have the tools to steer you right. So they tell you the only thing that they know, and they don't even know any better to know that. And we've seen this time and time again. I'll tell you a recent story. We were working with an estate planning attorney, or I should say an attorney. It was on an estate plan for a family, and we're kind of coming back in after they'd done some things. They had met us late in the game, and so we're looking at everything. And their attorney is sometimes does family law, sometimes does business law, but really the expertise of this attorney was elsewhere. And so, with the best of intentions, it was a family friend. They're trying to lay out the groundwork, and we're talking about a $50 million estate here. And they're just good old boys, farmers, just good old boys. But at the end of the day, what was being laid out to pass on to the family with these best intentions was actually a disaster of tax issues, liability issues, opening up gaps in asset protection. Yes, you heard that. And open the door for unwanted shareholders and not being able to have a way to get them out. And this is the trusted family friend that's an attorney. And I'm not saying that that attorney is a bad attorney. I'm saying that that attorney was trying to help out, thought they knew enough to be able to help out in this area, and it's not what they do each and every day. And we see that a lot with professionals, accountants. You ask them a question, so they're going to answer it from the only angle that they know how to answer it. So you're getting a finite view of a solution, or potential answer rather than a holistic view. And that bite of bad advice, I mean, it can come from anywhere. Even the most skilled professional can give you bad advice unintentionally. And I'm going to narrow that down to really two reasons that happens. Number one is, as we just talked about in the previous story, they don't know what they don't know, and they think they know enough to be able to give you advice to help you move along because they want to help. And there's nothing wrong with that. And number two, the right question, as we mentioned before, is not getting asked. You don't necessarily know the right question to ask. You might think you know the right question to ask, but I would challenge that because it isn't always what it seems. And let me give you an example. Let's just say that you're trying to get your succession plan for your business in order, and you're like, well, how can we pay for this? So you go to your banker and you say, how can this be paid for? Now, I want you to think about that. You just asked your banker, how can this be paid for? What do you think their solutions are going to involve? Banking products, right? Those are the tools that the banker has. So they're limited in the answers that they can give you. And you asked, how can we pay for this? So maybe it's a loan. But what if the question really needed to be asked was, how can this be paid for? It's different. Not how can we pay for this? It's how can this be paid for? And if the directive was partially to the wrong professional, perhaps the banker in that case, they'd have still the same answer. But if it was to the right person, you might get these answers. Well, we could look at banking options. Let's look at how Uncle Sam could pay for it. That might make the most sense first. Or what if insurance could pay for it? Or what if we didn't have to pay for it? We ever thought about those things? Now, who can answer those questions? And here's where the challenge comes into play. When you're dealing with your success issues over time, you outgrow the need for a single professional. You need a team. Think of it like owning a football team. I mean, here we are on football season. I can start whining about the Cowboys again, I'm sure, at some point. So you own a team of professionals, and you need a quarterback that understands that team and can lead the charge. And that's where we have a job, right? We haven't lived anyone's life, and that is for certain. But I will tell you this. We have lived through the lives of the clients that we have served for the past 36 years of our company's history. And we have multiple advisors. So if I really total up what that experience has been, it's been a phenomenal amount of experience. And it's not just that, it's also the stories that we get to hear, because we get to hear the stories of, oh gosh, I don't want that. I heard that, blah, 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 blah. And it just keeps growing and growing and growing of that knowledge. We have made ourselves to be that person in the industry as a life planner, as someone to help you live life on purpose. See, where I think a lot of people get it wrong is one of two things. Number one, they're either thinking they can do it cheaper, which, by the way, I I look at this all the time when we use outside professionals for 100% of things and we get involved, we usually make things less expensive. And the reason why is because it takes less time. And we usually find money that didn't exist if you just went to one of those professionals. And secondly, oftentimes we get told you're too cheap, or is that enough that we're paying you? And the reality is maybe it's not, but we try to be very fair about it. And the reason we try to be fair about it is because we work with people we want to work with for generations and generations and generations. That's what's important to us. We want to be that trusted advisor. No, not now, full disclosure, we're not, certainly not Jesus, right? But that's the unique ability that we've made apparent at the middle of our business, is to figure out how to help people live life on purpose and to figure out what professionals need to be involved at the right time. So your job doesn't have to be knowing whether or not you're seeking advice from the right person. And your job doesn't have to be knowing whether or not you're asking the right questions or even know where to start sometimes. Your job is to make sure that we know what it means for you to live life on purpose. Okay? That means, what is your future and goals? What's your current situation? What's your family dynamics and your dreams? What are the feelings that you have about risk and money? And if we know those things, we can take all the facts and figures and look at everything that we're trying to accomplish, find the holes, figure out who we need to involve. That's our job. Help formulate those right questions and find the right professionals to pull in where needed. So, the way I look at it at the end of the day is that if you're out there seeking advice when it comes to your business, when it comes to your money, when it comes to your legacy, seek us first. Let it give us a chance to help you ask those right questions, because at the end of the day, it's a lot less painstaking than going down a rabbit hole only to find 12 months later that that rabbit hole actually hurt you and didn't help you. Let us help you live a life on purpose. My name is Angela Robinson with Smart Money Group and Kennedy Financial Services. God bless you. Have a wonderful week and join us right here next week on Life Planning 101, and be sure to tune in to Black and White Market Chatter, where they discuss all things economies, markets, and volatility.
Thank you for joining us for Life Planning 101, brought to you by Smart Money Group and Kennedy Financial Services. If you have questions, you can email them to lifeplanning@kennedy-financial.com. Don't forget to learn how our sister company can assist you with all of your tax and consulting needs. You can find out more at briscoeandassociates.com. Be sure to tune in next week for more Life Planning 101. The opinions expressed herein are those of the firm and are subject to change without notice. The opinions referenced are as of the date of publication and are subject to change due to changes in the market or economic conditions and may not necessarily come to pass. Any opinions, projections, or forward-looking statements expressed herein are solely those of the author, may differ from the views or opinions expressed by other areas of the firm, and are only for general informational purposes as of the date indicated. Securities offered through Calton & Associates Incorporated, a registered investment advisor, member FINRA SIPC. Investment advisory services offered through Smart Money Group LLC. Kennedy Financial Services and Smart Money Group LLC are separate entities and are not owned or controlled by Calton & Associates Incorporated.